Somewhere in a laboratory, right now, a human being is being converted into data. Not metaphorically, not in science fiction, right now. And the strangest part? It didn't begin with a supercomputer or a government program. It began with a question so quiet, so ordinary, that most people never thought to ask it. What if you never had to die?
Think about the last time you were afraid. Not of a person, not of a moment, but of disappearing. Of the specific terror that everything you are, every memory, every feeling, every version of yourself you've ever been, simply stops, goes dark, forever. That fear is not weakness. It is the oldest human experience there is. Every religion was built around it, every myth, every monument. The pyramids were not built for kings. They were built against forgetting. We have been trying to escape death since the first moment we understood it. And for most of human history, we failed. Until one man decided to stop accepting that answer.
His name was Robert McIntyre. The year was 2016, and what he preserved that winter in a laboratory in Massachusetts didn't just challenge medicine, it challenged the entire definition of what a human being is. Using a technique called aldehyde-stabilized cryopreservation, McIntyre and his team took a rabbit brain and froze it. Not roughly, not experimentally, with such extraordinary precision that when they examined it afterward, the synaptic connections, the neural architecture, the microscopic web of 100 trillion connections that make a mind were intact. The Brain Preservation Foundation called it the most significant neuroscience result in history. No one outside the lab noticed.
Here is what they preserved. Here is what stunned the scientists. A memory is not stored in a single cell. It is stored in the relationship between cells, the angle of a synapse, the chemical weight of a connection formed at age 7 when you learned something that frightened you. Your personality, what you call you, is not a soul. It is a pattern. An extraordinarily complex, breathtakingly fragile pattern of electrochemical relationships. And for the first time in human history, that pattern survived outside a living body. Which raises a question that should stop you completely. If the pattern survives, are you still there? This is where the science stops being comfortable. There is a school of thought in neuroscience called connectomics, the belief that identity is information. That what makes you you, not your face, not your voice, not your heartbeat, but the specific, unrepeatable architecture of your neural connections is, in theory, uploadable. Sebastian Seng at Princeton spent years mapping the connectome, the complete wiring diagram of a human brain. He called it the project that could redefine humanity. Because if the self is information, then the self can be copied, stored, transferred. You could, in theory, run on silicon. And so the laboratories multiplied. Nectome, a Y Combinator-backed startup, built an entire business model around a single promise. They would preserve your brain with such perfect fidelity that future technology could extract every memory you ever had, every dream, every regret,
every face you loved. The catch? The preservation process requires the brain to be fresh. The patient must be terminally ill, and they must be alive when the procedure begins. MIT neuroscientist Edward Boyden, one of the most decorated scientists in the world, was an advisor. 25 people paid $10,000 each to be first on the waiting list. They were not eccentric. They were not desperate. They were terrified of the same thing you are.
But here is where the story fractures into something darker. Because the scientists working at the frontier of mind uploading, the serious ones, not the dreamers, they don't argue about whether it's possible. Most believe it is. They argue about something far more unsettling. They argue about whether the uploaded mind is you. If your connectome is scanned, copied, and instantiated in a computer, that mind will wake up believing it is you. It will have your memories, your humor, your fear of disappearing. It will remember writing this moment into the architecture of itself. But you, the biological you, will still be gone. What you created is not immortality. It is a perfect copy that thinks it survived. The philosophers call this the continuity problem. The neuroscientists call it unsolved. And the billionaires funding this research, the ones who have quietly poured hundreds of millions into companies like Kernel, Neuralink, and Carbon Copies, they don't talk about it in interviews.
Because the product they are selling is not technology. It is the oldest product ever sold to human beings. Hope. There is a man named Randall Coney who has dedicated his life to what he calls substrate-independent minds. The idea that consciousness does not belong to biology, that it can migrate, that you are not your neurons. You are what they do. He does not work in secret. He speaks at conferences. He collaborates with neuroscientists and AI researchers and philosophers. He is calm and precise and deeply serious. And when you ask him what it will feel like the first moment a human mind fully wakes inside a machine, he pauses. He says, "I think it will feel like waking up." Which brings us to what no one wants to say out loud. We are not far away. The Human Connectome Project has mapped significant portions of the brain's wiring. AI systems can now reconstruct three-dimensional neural architecture from electron microscope scans at a resolution that would have been science fiction a decade ago. The gap between preservation and emulation is narrowing with a speed that is making the most careful scientists in the world deeply uncomfortable. We are not debating if this happens. We are debating what it means. Because if the mind is uploadable, then death is a choice. And if death is a choice, then who gets to make it and who gets to afford it will become the most important political question in human history. Not climate, not war, not artificial intelligence. Who gets to live forever? The answer, if history is any guide, will not be everyone. So here is what you are left with. Somewhere between the laboratory and the philosophy, between the cryogenic vats and the server farms, between Robert McIntyre's perfectly preserved rabbit brain and the 25 people who paid to be first in line, something extraordinary and terrifying is taking shape. first human being who uploads their mind will not announce it. There will be no press conference, no monument. The moment will be quiet and clinical, and it will happen in a room most people will never see. And then, in some sense we do not yet fully understand, they will still be there, thinking, remembering, afraid, perhaps, of what comes next. Just like you.